Welcome back to Unmuted Nation. It's time for another segment of the cabinet. I know it's been a long time, but it's time to bring it back. So today I'm talking to some people that I work with, and joining me from Boss FM's digital news team, AD. AD, welcome to the cabinet.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining me. And of course, tell me a little bit about the show you're working on and what you're doing and how people can tune in.
So I'm a part of Boss FM's amazing PM team, and you guys can tune in everywhere if you download that Boss FM app. Also, we stream on YouTube, which is pretty dope. You guys can check us out at 8:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, so you don't want to miss it.
Absolutely. All right. So more information on that, but let's kind of jump into what everybody's talking about. So America is back in this place where like no other country is here, like where we are, where COVID cases are rampant. People are being affected in ways that they didn't see coming. And a lot of people from a lot of communities had declared that COVID was over. So now we see, and I'm in New York, so I've seen how bad it can get. I live across the street from a hospital. I've seen like the worst of the worst. I felt like I lived in a war zone the last few months. And so I've been telling people it's not over. Even when people started to get sick again and the numbers started to go up, people were like, well, no one's in the hospital. I'm like, that comes 14 days later. They're like, well, nobody's dying. That's 14 days later. And right now, this morning, we see that the numbers have just exploded. Like people, Miami's reporting record number of deaths, and with the people and the hospital beds are freeing up because people are passing away. What do you think that we missed?
So honestly, I feel like this is a really just like tricky issue to tackle together because nobody really understands, as first off in politics, like, okay, how are we going to go ahead and tackle a pandemic? We really haven't dealt with something of this severity to shut down our government since what, like influenza?
1918, like 100 years, a real 100 years when nobody in leadership, really nobody was here then. So it's kind of like, we can look at records that they had, and if you go back and just like Google Spanish flu of 1918, you see people were in masks everywhere. It wasn't really a political issue. They didn't really know what it was. They were protecting themselves. Why do you think people just started to ignore what was happening? Or, and I know giving room for like conspiracy theories and things like that, you're always going to have that. But how do we get to the place that people just believe conspiracies over fact?
I think at first when this first broke out, first off, we weren't aware of the severity of this issue ahead of time. You know, when Super Bowl was happening in Miami, I'm guilty as charged. I live in Florida. I feel like this was already in existence, right? So everybody's over there in Miami, kikiing it together and unknowingly spreading this virus.
It's brewing.
Yeah. So that was a perfect brewing ground, by the way, because everybody was here.
True.
Everybody who was anybody. So everybody's together, close quarters. And we really didn't shut down until it was too late. So, and even with cases like resurging and everything, it's just we don't know what to do properly. You tell us to social distance. Okay, we're trying to do that, but people can only be inside for so long before they have cabin fever and before they actually start not listening to the government.
Well, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, and I think maybe the messaging was always off to a certain demographic, right? So there's people that I think I'm of the belief that people take cues from their leadership, whether they support them or not. So, it's subconscious cues, and your subconscious really starts to guide you. Instead, when people are saying, "Oh, this is crazy, this is a pandemic," but the president of the country doesn't care, and you subconsciously believe that no matter what, your country is going to take care of you. You subconsciously believe that even if the president is a terrible leader, he doesn't want people to just die. And so I think I personally think the subconscious kind of kicked in for a lot of people and really just left them at the place to where they felt like they knew they were doing the right thing. And they also a lot like we didn't have a lot of information, and some of the information that we know now, like I'm just finding out last week, and I work in news, that the reason we were saying it wasn't affecting younger people as much is because we weren't testing younger people as much. So if we weren't, and nobody knew that, we were just like, oh, it's an old people's disease, or if you already have, like, if you're already sick, then it's going to take you out. But that's not the way that it works, and we're finding that out at the last minute. Do you think there's anything, like, messaging wise, that we can change now to make people know that this is serious? Because now what's going to happen is people out here, we are in New York, we're telling you guys our phase 4, I was reading it, I can't even find it, but there were and I see if we can get an image up, but when New York opened for phase 4, we felt slighted. It was like we opened up like phase 1.5, because everyone else's phase 4 was everything. You know, I live in a brunch culture, I live in a party culture, a day party culture, and that's literally my life, except the last 25 weeks that I've been in this house. Like, so it's weird to not have like none of that, and I'm seeing the entire country doing that. We're like, please stop, please stop. And when we opened up our phase 4 last week, the announcement said that the zoo is open, the botanical garden is open at 1/3%. Restaurants, malls, museums, gyms would remain closed. And so here we are in phase 4, and everything is still closed. And I feel like now that we've said it, Florida's gonna start saying it, because you guys are going to start seeing, like, you got your numbers now supersede where we were. So but do you think that the messaging can change at all? Do you think there's something different that we should be saying?
So I think you hit the nail on the head when you were talking about testing, because we weren't testing at first. The reason that the numbers are the way that they are because of testing. You have to understand, during spring breakers, they didn't want to give up their spring break. That is huge. That is literally, like, Florida's known for its tourists. Florida is also known as, you know, brunch, the party scene. I'm there with you. Trust me, I feel your pain. I'm living the same pain. So only as of recently, we saw President 45 wearing a face mask, number one. So and
to that point, there's a poll that came out over the weekend that now 62%, I think it's 62% of Republicans now believe that they should wear a mask because he wore one 2 weeks ago, which goes back to my thought about subconscious bias. You do what you're told to do. And so many people operate like that.
Yeah, it's true. I like to steer from the norm. So I like to try to make an opinion for myself, because I feel like I just get tired of this back and forth. Like, I feel like it's Republican versus Democrat. It shouldn't really be like that.
Not when it comes to health or life or the things that really matter. Like, how could it be just, how are we throwing politics into simple, like, stay alive?
Right. It's because people, I feel like you said, the leadership, they really don't, if you don't care for 45 at all, they really don't want to listen to him. So Dr. Fauci was saying this, and President 45 was like, listen to Dr. Fauci. And then he was like, oh, Dr. Fauci, blah, blah, blah. And now he's wearing a face mask. So it's like a lot of contradictions, and there is a lot of uncertainty, because, like I said, this is new for us who are living and breathing. We didn't have to ever encounter something like this. Like, we've had, like, here and there diseases like H1N1. We've had Ebola, all these little small things that have found a cure, but we still have yet to find a cure for this disease. And it is killing at an alarming rate. You see all over people in bedpans of every age now. They said, oh no, animals can't get it. Yes, animals can get it now. Oh no, young people, you're fine, but young people are also dying as well. So it's just, we need to be really informed, and we probably don't even know all the symptoms 100%. And it's scary. I feel like I'm living a real life horror movie.
Horror movie. And we're hitting the same points. I think we're hitting points for each other because when I describe it, and I'm like, if I had to write a horror movie, I would definitely make Donald Trump the president.
Yes.
Because you always need some sort of like comic relief in a horror film. So if I was writing this, it couldn't be written any better. Before I let you go, I want to talk about the onslaught of the word of the, not because they're not new, but Karens have been something that have joined our culture, and they've been here honestly. Before it became a mainstream, and there was a white woman from the UK that tweeted a couple months ago that she felt like Karen was a slur, and that she felt like it was equated to the N-word. And from that, the internet ran with it. And while we've been calling these people Karen for years now, everyone's aware of what a Karen is. To the point to where I think it's time for us to internally give them another name. So that we can deal with them in a different way. Why do you think that Karens are such a phenomenon right now?
Listen, Karen, Susans, whatever you want to call them, Sally Mae, I don't care. They have their nerve. They don't understand what it is like to be misrepresented, unmarginalized, and to even equate it and put it on the same level as the N-word. First off, the N-word was used in a historical context to degrade the Black man, if we're really being serious and we're getting real, okay? You get 2 seconds of being called a Karen and you don't like it. How do you think the Black and brown community have been feeling for years? You got like not even a taste. You got like a crumb, not even a sample. And now you're complaining? Wow, how does it feel? You don't like
Welcome to the party. Welcome to the gripe fest. Like, one of my answers is always like, you don't get to choose what you're called. And that's
right.
And that goes for people that called us that word for so long. It wasn't a choice that we made for you to call us that. And Karen, it's very Karen for you to think that you can take over and tell us what to call you. I think
privilege.
I think what adds to it is it's very evident that culturally that people that are called Karens, women that are called Karens, don't like to be told no. And we see that what no does for anyone that has the argument that, oh, I don't have privilege or there is no privilege, your privilege has enabled you not to hear the word no. So it makes you uncomfortable, which then makes you a Karen, which makes you a cultural problem.
It's so annoying. It's really just, it's unfathomable. Their excuses and the way that they back up with their evidence of
they're always sorry. They're always sorry.
Like, oh, you can't call me this because of racism. And then they go back to, oh, racism that happened so long ago. Are you kidding me? Like, are the words that are coming out of your mouth, have you really thought before you said it? So I always encourage people to think before they speak, even though that's a very rare thing that people do nowadays. But please, if it sounds a little bit iffy, it probably is. So just keep it to yourself.
Absolutely. All right, AD, you are on BossFM Digital News every evening, Monday through Friday. Again, tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, so please, guys, make sure you guys download that BossFM app. You want to hear all the latest on everything having to do with the PM team or just anything BossFM related, as well as we are streaming on YouTube, which is super exciting. I love the tube. And you can watch us and check us out at 8:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. So make sure you go check that out.
All right. Thank you, AD, for coming to the cabinet. And hopefully you'll come back and talk about some more nonsense and bullshit with me.
For sure. I mean, we're in a pandemic. Why not?
Oh, why not? Why not? Two more of BossFM Digital News's team members to join me on this second iteration of the cabinet today. Welcome, Jalisa and Chuckie, to Unmuted Nation.
Thank you. Hi. Thanks for having me.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome. And first of all, we'll talk about a little bit about what you guys are doing. Chuckie, tell us a little bit about what you're doing at BossFM.
So I am a BossFM host, an anchor. So I'm on there Monday through Friday, in the morning at 10:30 a.m.
Okay. All right. And so I guess we can find you. Download the BossFM app. You can watch Chuckie every morning. Jalisa, what do you do?
I actually manage the BossFM PM team. So I kind of do a little bit of everything as far as BossFM digital goes, but I just kind of oversee everything and help out when that needs to be happening.
Okay. All right. Well, look, Black is beautiful. And I just got to throw that in there because it's Monday and I just need to remind people that, you know, it is. All right. So we obviously, you guys, and if you're tuning in to the cabinet for the first time, if this is your first time listening, or we talk about it all. And part of the reason that we have these conversations on the cabinet is so that you will listen to them, not just interact with us, but also take these conversations back to your family and friends. Like nobody in America should be anywhere. So you shouldn't be at a real brunch table, but go back to your virtual brunch tables, have these conversations. Like there's too much. There's just, we are at the place that, all right, so if we're not going to have leadership, then y'all need to figure this shit stuff out. That's just where we are. Like we can't continue that was true. I wasn't whatever. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about not COVID specifically, but about another topic that's been buzzing that people can't really get a grasp on. Some people don't know if they're there. Some people don't know. Some people are for it. Some people are totally against it. But cancel culture is something that I would say has become more of a regularity, something we see regularly happening to people of all from small, I would say no celebrity, A, B, C, D, or E list is exempt from it. The young lady from, I think her name is B. Simone, comes to mind as somebody that kind of like this spiral, definitely a E or F class celebrity in my eyes, but she comes to mind just because it kind of spiraled out of control for her. And but you know, that's on the low end, but on the high end, we see people and brands canceled often. And I've been on the fence. I'm not sure where I am or if I'm totally for it or against it. But when it comes to cancel culture and just in your own life, and for you specifically, Jalisa, where do you stand with canceling people and brands?
I definitely vote yes. And like you said earlier, no celebrity is exempt from being canceled. I feel like with my generation, it's very easy for us to kind of pick somebody and say, this is my favorite person now, so I'm going to watch all their videos. I'm going to make a Stan account. And then they get big and we kind of go through their history and we're like, hold on, did they call somebody a nigger monkey on Twitter?
So I want to land right there because there is, I want to land right there. We just jumped right into it because I think it is also a generation. There's a generation that leads cancel culture. And I would definitely put it on Generation Z. There is nobody that is actually more vocal right now and more able to, and has the availability to do the research. So it's not just you do something right now, but specifically, if you ever, and of course the Black Twitter Federal Bureau of Investigation leads this charge. I'm a card-holding member of Black Twitter. But you will be canceled, and then, you know, what you said in 2012 resurfaces, 2013 resurfaces, somehow your emails and your DMs start to surface, and people have saved everything in regards to you. And you say that you are in line with that. Like, what do we get out of actually completely canceling somebody?
I think the full gist of everything is, let's start picking people that actually deserve it. So like the regular people like us that are on Twitter all day and actually like stating facts or actually have something to say that don't necessarily want that clout, don't get it. But we give it to people that don't necessarily deserve it. And my generation feels like, I'm not going to put you on a platform if this is what you used to do. So we kind of take it like a mistake. Like, you wasn't even supposed to be a celebrity. Like, we're going to take their title back from you because.
Oh, wait a minute. So what we have given, and it's really the people that give it and the people that take it away.
Yeah.
But it is making the decision and the determination. This is no more for you.
Mm-hmm.
Chuckie, are your thoughts the same?
Yeah, basically, I definitely feel like we should hold celebrities more accountable, whether it's a Z-list celebrity or A-list celebrity. I think that the people are responsible for giving them this platform, and like Generation Z will do the research to, like Jalisa said, to tell if you deserve that platform or not. And sometimes like we catch them slipping. And I think most times cancel culture stems from, I think, like obnoxiousness, like in B. Simone's case specifically, like all of this sparked from what she said she didn't want a man who worked a 9 to 5. Like, had she not said that, she would have been okay. But I think it just stems from them being cocky. Because, like, I can think back to, like, Daniel Caesar. When he canceled himself, like, he basically told people, like, cancel me.
The list goes on and on.
And that's what we did. So I think that it stems from, like, obnoxiousness and feeling like you have this title where you can't be canceled. So
in line with that, I think, and this is an allegation, so you guys can correct me, but there are people that feel like there is a jealousy aspect to cancel culture, and this is the part that doesn't often get shine. Someone starts to shine, they start to grow in an area. Maybe they have a single that drops that's really dope, or a visual, or something online, whether it's online or they become public very quickly. There is a mob that seems to go do the research to see if it's valid for them to be there. What is the motivation of, I want to know what the motivation behind going to look up everything that somebody's done after they've been presented to you. And I think that it's something that people need to be cognizant of happening. And I think a lot of it, like when I think about how it, from an industry standpoint, and how much things have changed, not just from the music industry where, you know, labels would discover somebody and A&Rs would really work to develop that person and make them, give them media training. And you guys are kind of exempt from a time that social media wasn't here. And so we only knew about the celebrities from the magazines, and we only saw what they were doing. Their interviews were always polished, always edited. There was no live. Now celebrities ruin themselves because they go live when they probably shouldn't. You know, there were a lot of toxic celebrities, probably eons. I mean, plenty of them forever, and they didn't have the capability to get on Instagram and drop their opinion, or drop a Nicki Minaj after the Post shooting and say, I just believe the Bible, and say things that people that stick with us forever. People haven't been able to do that. So what's the motivation behind going to validate this position that we put them in? Jalisa.
Okay, so for example, I'm going to use Brother Nature, for example. Brother Nature was a good example of cancel culture, and that I didn't take a part of because I feel like the jealousy aspect really played a part. Brother Nature, he was nothing but a positive person. All he did was just hang out with animals and post about it, hang out with celebrities that also had animals and post about it. And one day out of nowhere, they was like, yep, we're going to cancel Brother Nature because in 2013, he tweeted Tyler, the Creator lyrics. Personally, for me, this is just me as Jalisa. I love Tyler, the Creator. So I was not even like, personally, I feel like you didn't say anything. You were just tweeting lyrics versus people that we actually cancel that actually say things that aren't from songs or anything like that. People that actually have that hatred in their hearts, or racism, or it could be anything. But Brother Nature is somebody that got canceled that didn't deserve to be canceled.
So they jumped all over him. So you thoughts on Brother Nature?
Yeah, they just
I think Brother Nature, like Jalisa said, like he definitely got like the bad end of the sword of cancel culture, because like he didn't do anything specifically to like harm anyone. Although he did lie about those people jumping him in that restaurant because he was the antagonizer. And that's what got him canceled. So that's what I say about like cancel culture, because like there's always two sides. So like Brother Nature didn't get canceled until he got jumped at that restaurant in Florida. But then they played the tape back and he went in the restaurant and was like, do y'all know who I am? Like, who are you talking to like that?
And see, this is an education moment right now, right? Because Jalisa's eyes lit up and she's like, whoa, I didn't know that. Wait. Maybe that's a reason. My last question about this, because it's an ongoing conversation. Is there forgiveness? Like, where is forgiveness, and what does a canceled person need to do to get back into the good graces of people?
I give it a lot of celebrities forgiveness. Azalea Banks, I forgive her every day.
You forgive her every day, but do you forgive her every time? Because there's multiple times and multiple things that Azalea, like at certain point, and I don't even think I totally ascribe to cancel culture. I understand why people and brands need to be canceled, but with Azalea, that's a great example of somebody that I'm like, no. No. And there are times that the message is good. There's a good message there, but I'm still like, no.
Right. So yeah,
my question is, how would one seek forgiveness?
Well, at first it was built like the whole, I'm going to type a long message and then I'm going to post it. Mm-hmm. But then after a while, everyone started doing that. So now people are like, are you guys really sorry? Or is this what your PR or whoever is telling you to just type a message and tell them you're sorry and post it and then turn the comments off? You'll be all right.
Wow. So what you're saying is the response can't be the same. There's lots of, I need somebody to give us a checklist, because people are going to continue to cancel themselves. Like, that's just really the world that we live in. It's going to keep happening. It's going to continue being a problem. And I think that it's a rampant problem right now that I honestly feel like people step in it and then don't know. Like, they wake up some days, and with this research mob that pops up once you find some popularity or some fame, you wake up one day and it's like, you wonder yourself, I said that? Like, I said that, they found that, and that's there. Switching gears a little bit, cancel culture, we'll continue to talk about it. We are 99 days away from an election in this country. I'm just sad thinking about it. Like, I really am very sad. We have two options on the table right now. The sitting president and the former vice president running. And how do you guys feel about that? About the fact that we've got two choices and a decision to make. Go ahead, Chuckie.
I'm gonna be completely transparent. I'm not certain in either candidate. I do know that one typically seems worse than the other. However, the other doesn't really gear towards my wants and needs from a presidential candidate. But I understand. Okay. But honestly, like, this is going to be my second presidential candidacy I was able to vote in. So in my experience, I really haven't had like a presidential candidate that made it work the official election that I love, like, ever. So like,
I'll say that it's likely going to be like that foreseeably for the rest of your life, because we had a one-off. Like, out of 44 presidents, here comes one that people felt like, people that looked like us felt like, oh, I finally got one. And I mean, justifiably, that was literally because of where my birthday fell. That was the first election I could vote in. So the first time I voted for Barack Obama, which is definitely monumental. And, you know, it can set a precedent for people like me that voted for him for the first time. Like, I need this on the ballot every time, something like it on the ballot every time. But history tells us if you go from president 1 to president 43, they've all pretty much, in my opinion, look the same. So old and white.
Right. Exactly.
And that's
like
Cousin.
that's just that.
Those are your
Minus
options.
Kennedy.
Old and white. And America has always given us old and white. And so there's so much confusion. There's so many conversations that we can get into just about that alone. Like America has always given us old and white, but everyone on one side is yelling, "Oh, there's equality everywhere. You guys your eyes are closed." Like old and white are the options. So I know you're feeling some type of way. Vice President Biden has committed to choosing a woman as his vice presidential candidate, not necessarily a Black woman, but a woman nonetheless. How does that make you feel? Does it make you feel like there's at least an attempt at some additional representation, or are you more like he can keep that?
I'm on both sides because, like, for one, like, I definitely don't believe that it's out of his own interest. I just think that he knows that now, like, he has people, like, to go back to cancel culture, he has people like Generation Z he has to depend on for votes. And we're typically seen as, like, the liberal generation that wants to see change, that wants to see diversity and things of that nature in office. So it's like one of those things where I feel like he had to do. Because that got him off that hurdle of, like, when he was going against the other Democratic nominees, he announced it like, "Oh, just so you know, like, my vice president will be a woman." And now I think that he's taken so long to announce this woman because honestly, he really didn't want to have a woman vice president to begin with. But now that he's made that promise, I'm excited to see a woman as a vice president, and I'm excited to see who he chooses. But I don't think it was out of his own interest, if that makes sense.
I can understand that. Jalisa, does it matter?
Personally, for me, no, it doesn't matter because corruption
and white.
Corruption isn't by gender to me. Like, Hillary is a great example. Just because she's a woman doesn't mean she exudes positive light and change and diversity in America. So whoever this woman is that, might be vice president if Biden is elected, we would have to wait and see what changes they really implement. I can't really just hope and cross my fingers.
So you're not really, like, waiting to see who it is or what it is. It's just like whatever.
Yeah, I rather.
If you watch or you consume a lot of news, you're like on one side of it, and this also could be generational. Black people are demanding that it be a Black woman. It must be a Black woman. I'm like, here we are again. If we just think about history, right. Old and white, old and white, and so not to say that we don't need to change that, and we don't need to be intentional on changing that. I'm more interested on the conversations that are happening and if it's even going to matter. Like, why is it going to matter that we're going around and round and round? I mean, it's 99 days. I really wish it's just time for us to tell us who it is. So Gen Z can do what they do, and they can, because I mean, the delay here is the vetting process. So what's happening right now is the candidates that he's interested in, they're all being vetted. And this process takes 4 to 6 weeks for the vetting. But I know what they're not including is the same vetting process that's done by Gen Z, which we had in our first conversation, because there's a process there. There's something there. There are things that, and I haven't quite put my finger on exactly what it is, but there are things that trigger you guys, and it sets you off to like, I don't know if it's something that you hear or something that you see, but you go and look and you find it, and everybody's shocked. A friend of mine, actually, you guys will remember when during the 2016 election and Melania Trump gave this speech that was actually Michelle Obama's speech. Yeah. A friend of mine actually, which is it tells you how close we are, from millennials and Gen Z, how the thinking is similar. It's not the same, but he's listening and he's like, I know what is happening. And the reason, like, he jumped into instant fame because he tweeted along and said, this woman has stolen Michelle Obama's speech. The next thing you know, it's all over. And so I believe something like that could happen again, that we aren't prepared for. And that's kind of my fear with this returning to normal, and a lot of people want Joe Biden to be elected so that we can go back to normal. But if Donald Trump has showed us anything, I think it's that we really need a severe change. Like, we need to change in a massive way. So I'm really curious about how people are thinking about that. And thank you guys for joining the cabinet today to have this conversation. Again, Chuckie, where can people find what you're doing?
So you can find us on the BossFM app. You can also find us on BossFM Facebook page and Twitter. Each day at 10:30 a.m. we actually have 2 showings, 10:30 a.m. and 8:30 p.m. And that's Monday through Friday, every day of the week.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for joining the cabinet. Unmuted Nation continues after this break. And I want to hear your thoughts. You know, does it matter that Biden chooses a Black woman? Why or why not? And are you ready? We're 99 days away. What are you going to do? More Unmuted Nation after this break. Stay with us.